This is a complete breakdown of law and order.
The number of people killed in riot trouble this year rose to 74.
The President will speak on the civil disorders in the country.
The dignity of the individual is stronger than ever in this hemisphere.
H. Rap Brown said violence is necessary, that it's part of America's culture.
You and I have come a long way together, haven't we, baby?
We have chosen to fight a limited war in Vietnam.
Clear weather over North Vietnam again permitted U.S. warplanes to hit the north.
Hello, I'm John Saywell. I'm a teacher and a parent. I help to run a university. I should know something about young people, right? I'm not sure. There are times when the gap grows pretty wide, even with my own teenagers. But one thing I may know is their intense desire to escape from our authority. They want to try various ways of living, to test, to probe, to determine their own values. But will they? This next hour looks back in order to show you a possible way ahead. Our scene is San Francisco. It's last summer. And we've sent a young Canadian, Don Shabib, to study the hippie phenomena where it was then most noticeable. His film is not a plea, not an endorsement. It is, we think, a clear look, a fair view of a lifestyle that may upset you. But he didn't invent it. It's truly
seemed to be a popular street among the hippies. Why I really couldn't say because I've never asked any of them. I'd say the most concentration among the hippies is right along between Haight, Masonic, and Ashbury.
They came here because of the propaganda, or the songs that were put out about Haight Ashbury, the magazine articles about Haight Ashbury. A kid that is uptight with his family, a kid that wants to run away, thinks, wow, where can I run away to? Kids know of Haight Ashbury all over the country. Wow, I'll go to Haight Ashbury. They'll put me up. They'll love me. So they all come.
I don't know. I don't have any ill feelings or anything against it. The kids, they're all pretty nice. They're really nice kids. They don't fight or what. You don't hear too much profane language. As a matter of fact, I don't hear any of it. Very seldom, you know, you hear kids say anything that's really bad. Most of the people around here think it's sort of a disgrace. Some of them think that all the hippies are dirty, you know, and so forth, but all of them aren't. I know there are some hippies pretend to be hippies down here. The kids work in banks and they hold real respectable jobs downtown, you know. But as soon as they get from their jobs, they run, change clothes, and get out on the street, you know. Everybody has the same feeling down here, you know. No ill feelings toward each other. You know. I don't know whether I live like some of them live or do some of the things they do, but, you know, people are just people, you know. They have their ways and I have mine.
The dirty hippie paper you've heard so much about. Only a quarter. Only a quarter. Help a hippie today.
Donations for the free feed-in tonight. You got any loot? Got any bread? Drop it in there.
What?
Got any bread at all? Cigarettes? Something?
No, I've got a sweater.
Oh, good.
A poster for a beautiful girl. Do you know what these are?
Yeah, but we haven't got any money.
Isn't that beautiful?
Like, I make them, man.
You make posters?
Yeah, I'm looking for a job now. I
Doing
make
what?
them. Drawing.
Would you pose for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Let me get my new apartment tonight. I'm gonna get a new apartment.
Okay, yeah.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
You look, there you are, lady. Love to you.
Thank you.
Love to you, sir.
I think they're the disaffiliates, you know, the alienated people in our society. They're dissatisfied with the current values and they're looking for some of their own, and I think it's worthwhile. You know, I'm surely in sympathy with the anti-war sentiments, you know, that most of them have. Now, the glorification of drugs is something else. I can't get behind that quite so wholeheartedly. That's the voice of experience.
Anybody got a light? You're gonna get busted. Hey, lady, you want some pot?
I tell you. I'm born and raised here, and I said, I'm shocked.
Here, I've never seen a hippie before. Would you direct me to a hippie, please?
I can't dig it. I can't figure it. Just go.
What's going on? Want to see your picture?
When I first got here, I saw how ridiculous money was, and I stood in a corner, and I cashed a $20 bill into singles, and I passed out dollar bills. Because I left a family that gave me more money than I could possibly ever hope to spend in my life. So I don't really, need the bread. I just, if I need anything, it's people that think like me, and people I can identify with and associate with.
I started in the hippie scene in '64. I was 19. I left home because during my life there were certain incidents that happened that upset this American balance, middle-class balance, where everything is just so-so. Graduate from school, go to college, get a job, raise a family, visit the in-laws, you know, a roundabout thing like that. Well, too many things happened to upset that, to show that that wasn't real. I think too many kids have been pressured by their parents to be something they don't want to be. And now they see there's a different culture around that they can go to. You know, whatever their hang-up, they can go into the hip world, and the hip world will accept it. You know, like if you're gay, or if you're black, or if you're white, or if you're down on God, or if you're really for God, you can still be hip and accepted. And I think the hip world is just the runover of the square world. Collages, they're my extreme art medium. They're my hobby. But they're also a serious idea as far as advertising or new art goes. There's only one other person I know that does collages like these. But collages in general have been around since the 17th century. I have no control with my hand. My mind and hand won't work together. I'm not an artist with a brush. I'm an artist with a pair of scissors or an eye. The things I have in my house aren't found in any store. They're found in stores, junk stores, and in the dump, and flea markets. All the items are found because I was looking for them. I wanted these items. It wasn't because it's the in thing to have, or it's this year's style. It's things that are pleasing to my eye. My biggest dream is to meet as many people in the world as I can, to understand them. I'm very curious about people, the world itself, the sociology of the world. I'd like to go into photography so I can travel. Use this as my bread ticket, my meal ticket. Score jobs with this background in photography, find work. There's nothing in Haight Ashbury for me to go to, except if I felt like going to visit friends in the outlining area. But I never cruise down Haight Street. I'll use one of the streets above it or below it, like the residents of the area, because I know that there's nothing to see except the same hippies and tourists doing the same thing that I saw 6 months ago.
This house is one of the strangest houses in the city. The vibrations from this house are good. The people that are living here take a vote onto anyone else who comes into the house, so that everyone approves on that person being here, so that we can always keep the vibration at a harmonious level. There are several ghosts that live in the house. I have seen 2 of them, or at least what I think is a ghost, and not ever having talked to them. I'm full-time practicing white magician. I practice white magic. It's magic that is only good and would meet with approval of God. My religious attitude is magically orientated, rather than, say, being a Catholic or a Protestant, which is basically the same thing. It's all a matter of obtaining one's goal or understanding. All of us are trying to do what we have to do in the time that we have to do it and come out with good karma. And I chose magic to do it. My thing, my understanding of my fellow man and my relationship with the world and the universe.
I'm 23, and what I do is pretty much my own. My father came out from Japan a few months ago to see my brother. He had just gotten busted. Cops found a kilo in his garage, where he living with my parents. And my father came out, and he came up north here to visit me, and he got a hold of me, and I kind of blew his mind because he hadn't seen me in several years, about 4 or 5 years, and my hair was all along in my house, you know, and it kind of blew his head. He didn't understand. He said, why don't you move into a little studio apartment, you know, where it doesn't cost me so much to live and this and that. And I said, I didn't want it, you know. Sort of happy with what I got here. He accepted it in the way that he should have, and that is that he just let, you know, he figured, well, I'm on my own, and I'm not tied to mother's apron strings anymore, so I can, what I do is my own bag. And he just sort of, he didn't approve of me turning on and everything so much and the way I was living, but he just let, you know, he accepted it and let me go about my own business, which was pretty groovy. I like to be an individualist to an extent, even though you know, I'm sort of like everybody else in a way too. But I don't know, I'm an artist, so therefore I'm an arty person, so the things I do don't fall in line as much with straight people. And
yeah, well, the straight scene is a lot more insane than it was, you know, a few years ago, and kids all know it, you know, intuitively.
To be, you know, average and so forth is not really where it's at. You can, you know, be able to do your own trip.
Oh, Mary Jane, we love you. Oh, Mary Jane, oh, marijuana. Oh, Mary Jane.
Yeah, that's where it's at. Yeah. But somebody's got to work. Somebody's got to do something, right?
Marijuana develops great lung power.
Yeah.
It's very healthy. You learn to breathe deeply with marijuana.
Creates great
and when and taking a deep breath feels so good.
Really. It's like taking a big breath of country air. You know?
It's like a cookbook thing. Tell us how to hold it. It's like a recipe.
What, a smoked marijuana?
Rolling
You roll marijuana like you roll tobacco. You're going back to the cowboys, which is sort of a funny thing to think about. Governor Reagan hikes up cigarettes to 35 cents a pack. Alcohol, 50 cents a gallon. They don't have to do that, you know. It's been told by so many people that just legalizing grass and putting a very simple, small tax on it, you get millions. Just imagine the underground money we have and how many of them are smoked just in San Francisco per week or gone through.
What is this?
Marijuana doesn't all this combustion. This is K-site.
K-site.
Good for you?
Yeah. I spent 6 months in jail for smoking marijuana, for possessing marijuana. 6 months in jail for, you know, doing something that just relaxes you, makes you feel good. Of course, you know, like a lot of the flower children don't realize the dangers of smoking marijuana. So many of them walk down the streets thinking it's legal until they go to jail before they legalize marijuana. Maybe everybody's going to have to go to jail.
Fourth floor, Detective Bureau and Central Warrants.
We've had youngsters say, well, when the question put to them, why do you smoke marijuana? Why are you using LSD? As well, a lot of them, particularly young men, say, well, the world condition in Vietnam has upset my life. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm coming from. And you hear many excuses. A lot of it is against the old establishment, say, the older generation. They don't like the way that we function. They disagree with the policies of our government. But the question is, are these valid excuses?
The drugs help the hippies express themselves. The drugs put the hippies in that euphoric state that they want to be in. Yeah, it's the ultimate of the utopia.
This is a tremendous character destroyer. This is something that all of these youngsters that become involved to any extent with the use of marijuana and then the natural step up to LSD, cease to exist as normal, productive individuals. They have only one obsession in life, and that is to be left alone, to be able to indulge in their particular choice of drugs. And these people cease to exist as normal human beings.
I mean, we've got tobacco, we've got alcohol, we've got penicillin, aspirin. They're all drugs, man. We're just tuned on to drugs. Ever since you're born, people have been putting drugs in you, vaccinated at a very early age, and all these drugs coming in. So why not have drugs for the mind?
They firmly believe that this is something that they're going to have to sell to the rest of the world. They feel that the rest of the human race, to be able to learn to live in peace and harmony, will have to expose themselves to a chemical substance. And there's where the potential danger is, because this is a group of people that age factor is no criterion. They will furnish or give or sell marijuana, LSD, or whatever it might be to anybody.
I don't think that anybody should give President Johnson, LSD. Whew. Man, we're in bad enough shape already.
And as I say, this is something that changes the whole character, the whole concept of the individual. All of the things that he's been taught that have value to he as an individual and value to society no longer have any value to this person.
Everything that a person sees on LSD, I mean, actually, is there. The movement in flowers, the movement in the room, the geometric patterns.
This is called Love Poem. It's so nice to wake up in the morning all alone and not have to tell somebody you love them when you don't love them anymore.
I took a janitor job, 1 hour a night. I just sweep the halls and take down the trash. Very simple, menial job. That's about my only contact with the straight world. All I want, my desires out of the whole thing, is just to be left to do what I felt like doing. Just let me live my own life. It's not that far out. It's not that outrageous. If marijuana was legalized, I would be about the squarest person around. There's not a thing in the world that I can do to change this world except be my own self. And maybe there'll be somebody that notices it and says, wow, well, he's living his life. Maybe I should too. I'm just a little drop in the ocean. Everybody's just a little drop in the ocean.
I cannot answer you tonight in small portions. I cannot answer you tonight in small portions. Torn apart by stormy love's gate, I float like a phantom face down in a well where the cold dark water reflects vague half-built stars and trades all our affection, touching, sleeping together for tribunal distance, standing like a drowned train just beyond a pile of Eskimo skeletons. I'm a writer. I write novels, poems, short stories, essays. I write every day. I have a very tight schedule. I write very fast. I wrote my novel, The Abortion, in 5 months, and I wrote in Watermelon Sugar in 2 months. My first novel took me 13 months. I've been living in San Francisco 13 years. It's my city, I guess. It's part of my bone structure, my skin now, part of me. San Francisco's a genetic part of me now. So my blood goes through my veins. San Francisco goes through, too. There's a beautiful pace, a lovely feeling to it. You can get around it very fast. It's just a part of me. It's part of my shadow now, part of my breathing. I don't know, there's no why to it anymore. It's just an absolute part of me. There's a park I like, right at where Haight Street runs into Stanion. There's a little pond there, and I would go there and write. I wrote a little article about that pond. They drained it last autumn, and there was a crawdad inside the pond crawling around the mud, and it had one claw, gigantic crawdad with one claw, and then all these tennis balls and bottles and all this junk lying there, and sticks and everything, and this crawdad crawling around. It was beautiful. The Indians had a beautiful harmony with nature, with the universe. They were just interchangeable. And this is the thing that the hippies are interested in, is to return to the proper balance between man and nature. Our society in the industrial age has completely thrown off our relationship, the balance with nature. And the hippies are interested in reestablishing this balance.
Right in front of the big Buddha in Japanese tea garden.
Wow,
Right,
would
that-
it be heavy?
Oh, wowie zowie, really?
Do you know Peter like I know Peter? That's what he's thinking of.
I hope Peter's doing it up good, man, because, like, I want a heavy, heavy wedding, you know.
Well, they don't like us old bags anyway.
Yeah. I don't think I'd want to be a hippie. They don't live no good life.
The first thing I should like you to do is, if you're getting married, look into the eyes of your partner until you recognize the union that you are, the energy flow you are. On this day, you have chosen to wed yourselves physically, to fuse your energies. I shall start in a ring with a question to each of you. Before the Supreme Lord of the Universe, I now wed Bob.
Before the Supreme Lord of the Universe, I now wed Bob.
Bob, do you now wed Michelle?
Yes, I do.
Before the Supreme Lord of the Universe, repeat after me. I wed Michelle.
Before the Supreme Being of the universe,
I now wed Michelle.
You are now wedded. You are now joined in matrimony. You are now married. I think you all know the gravity of what you have done. You know why you have done it. While you are here on earth with bodies, you are meant to share each other's trials and tribulations. You've joined your energies together as male and female principle to create. It's a holy thing you have done, and a good thing. If you ever, at any time, wish to separate, please come and see me before you do it. I think, before we go any further, the wedding couple should join in the feast. I'll let the women prepare it. I think each woman should prepare a sandwich for one man.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, wow. Get on it. Why is your I've been here. Remember, I've been here 7 months. We have to go down there. We're going to be dumped in the water this soon.
I'm going to push you in.
A lot of noise was made a year ago about whether or not the love thing, the psychedelic love civilization, should be a free one, whether or not it should cost any money. And we kept saying, well, it couldn't be. They couldn't be free unless it was free. In my mind, there's some joke, you know, the United States has always played with itself about being absolutely free. You're a free person, and that's why you got to put a dime in a parking meter. The diggers begin with parking meters. Free food in the park. And it's an act of murder, because they're going to murder property. In the Haight Ashbury right now, there are more community services than any place I've ever been. Free stores, free food, free medical clinic, a free counseling service for young kids, non-profit businesses, free job co-op. There's a spirit there. There's a spirit of freedom.
The Hip Job Co-op, its purpose is to secure jobs for people whose dress and physical appearance did not conform in any way to the standards of this establishment, the society, and for people who were unwilling to compromise, who had values that they felt were worth preserving, and that they found parodied, mocked, and made fun of in the straight world.
This is John Williams from the Hip Job Co-op. We've got a job order here for a live-in babysitter, and we were wondering if that was still available.
It doesn't have to be live-in, preferably not.
Right. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry it's been filled. And we've got several people with trucks that are coming in and out, you know, and one of them should be back pretty soon. Okay?
All the stuff in the basement is no good. And he can dump that, and I'll pay him to dump it. But the other stuff is a bed and some clothing that you can use.
Are you a musician looking for a band? Doing what? Being able to bass guitar, lead guitar, drums, anything. We got several things. Do they need a singer? No, I don't think anybody needs a singer.
This is a free store. Everything here is free to anybody. Hippie, Negro, even cops. Anybody that wants it.
When the summer winds blow, I'll be back by home.
Hey, ma'am, you know what we forgot? The cushion. We forgot the cushion.
The idea of the free store is to enable people to get clothes, shoes, books, old furniture free. Most of the things in here aren't worth much, but that's okay because possessions in the Haight Ashbury community aren't worth much. People are here because they want to be free, and they want to be free from possessions. And so the idea isn't charity, it's freedom.
I guess we won't be lonely anymore. We'll find our sunshine open door. I know what you're going through. I've been down there. I've been down there too.
We're trying to start a pilot program here. It's called a Digger Feed It. You go home, you cook whatever you can cook at your kitchen, and you bring it out and you serve it to hungry people on the street, you know? And if everybody does it, we'll all have a ball, you know? And this is a bit more variety than we normally get into one. We've got a ham in this one. We've got plenty of green vegetables, peas and carrots. Hey, it is much worse than the Depression for a lot of the individuals around here.
Yeah, it is.
These kids don't know how to fend for themselves. Great men are out of the middle class. They haven't built up the germ defense mechanisms that are required to live in, you know, communal living, and they are suffering. Anybody want the bone to gnaw on?
This is a free medical clinic run by the hippies themselves to look after the kids on the street. We have several doctors who come in to take care of us and donate their time free.
Dr. Brightout, I saw you in the hall, I guess. Jan?
Yeah.
Caroline.
Good name. Jan, you say recurrence of hepatitis? What?
Well, I'm not sure, but that's the way it seems to be. My symptoms all seem to be hepatitis symptoms.
This free medical clinic has to thrive because this is a place where you can put your ear to the ground. There are also a lot of ugliness coming into this clinic. There is real medicine being seen here, real physical illness. That's one thing that's satisfying from a physician standpoint.
That's not too nice, is it?
You just had one?
Well, about 10 minutes ago at the most.
Friday is my day. I usually come up about 2 and I'll stay 5 or 6 hours. The first few nights I stayed late because there were a lot of things that I'd never seen. I do no counseling except, have you eaten today? Do you have a place to sleep? No moralizing, no sermonizing. Parents, teachers, doctors, colleagues, people I'm fast becoming alienated from because they don't want to hear. But they're curious, is they want to say to you, fill us in on all the sin, Doc. Tell us about all the bad things going on up there. They want to hear the gory details about a bad trip. They want to hear what a bummer is. They want to see people coming in here in deprived, dirty, ghastly conditions. Well, they are. You know, they're coming in here with 25-pound weight losses in 3 months. They're dropping speed in their veins. But I think they'd like to be free of disease as much as we would. I don't think this is where the hippie community wants to be. I don't think that sexual license and gonorrhea are to be the prices to be paid for doing your own thing or being your own way. If that means that they've got to live with dirt for a while in order to make the other scene, I'm sure they will. And I'm sure that's why some of us are here, to make sure that they do make it okay.
Well, you've been up to Haight Street now. You can see it. It's overcrowded. It's very, very bad on Haight Street. There's not a good feeling there. There's kids sitting around begging. There's nothing for them to do. It's dirty. The city doesn't clean it up anymore. People coming by in their cars. There's not a good feeling there. Like 7 months ago, Haight Street was almost like a pastoral meadow with people wandering around, and it was a good feeling.
If it didn't click, that means it's the last one on the roll. I'd have to change rolls.
The tourists, they take everything on with vengeance. People come into the city, look at the hippies. Oh, they come here to look at a circus.
I've heard about this place. I'm from Southern California and enjoying seeing what I've read about. And so I thought I'd take a few pictures while I'm in the city here. And it's revealing what you do see sometimes.
Well, they come here and they have something in their mind. They have something pinned to their mind, that they have a general attitude what we are. And they have this as they walk down the street.
Oh, we walked around, we drove up and down the street, and then I said, well, let's get out and really get a good look at them.
There are literally hundreds of these fellas, bearded, and girls that are dressed eccentrically and cars with flowers painted on them, and it's really just out of this world.
My impression isn't as bad as the papers make it out. They're just kids and people like you and I. They're human beings.
Well, everyone to his own taste, said the old lady. She kissed the cow.
They don't look beyond their visual screen, and they just have the same attitude as they walk past, because LBJ society is like a chain. If one link does it, the rest do. Individualism anywhere in that society is very hard, because to be an individual, you have to throw out things that you may love, things like that, and you may be alone for a long time.
Civilization is falling apart. It's coming apart, like the crust is disintegrating. And there are juxtapositions that are like this. It's like an earthquake. It's an earthquake with the civilization, with the whole civilization. I see people now, they just walk down the street, who have looks on their faces like they've just been in an earthquake. I see horror and fantastic joy. It's really pushed stuff. It's a very desperate time. This is not like a time of normalcy. This ain't Eisenhower's America no more. It's this. It's the land faults. You can be standing someplace and suddenly one leg shoot 10 feet above the other. And it's that kind of thing. Minds are up for grabs. It's up for grabs. Civilization's up for grabs. I think everybody knows it. And this is like this is a time of like violent upheaval. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that the image to me is the sun comes up and the city burns down. All the city is, at this moment, is a Byzantine prison. It's a poultry farm. Consumer pullets. And you just pull them up. You just breed them, you incubate them, you feed them corn. And when it's time to cut the throat, you say, sorry, baby, but profit is our most important product. Whack! That's what it's about. Personnel department of the factory. Would you wait in the waiting room, please, for the rest of your life? For what? There's a dichotomous logic in the United States. And the logic is, you're free. And you gotta pay for it. You're free. And you gotta pay for it. Vietnam. Our sacrifice for freedom. It's schizophrenic. It's impossible to live with it.
The only thing unique, I would say, about Morning Star at present is that it is 30 acres plus of land, access to which is denied to no one. I don't really know why I started it. What I think has emerged here is a very valuable pilot study in the lifestyle of the future. Very shortly in this country, we will see that machines, in the form of cybernated production, automation run by computers, will be doing all but a fraction of the work necessary to provide the goods and services required by our society. As a result, we're going to have what you may call compulsory leisure. Now, in order to, we will also have a society of abundance. In order to find out what kind of lifestyle will be consonant with human dignity under these circumstances, we've got to have some kind of place where there's as little blueprinting as possible, so that people can play. That is a scientific goal of Morning Star. What is really essential about the hippies is the fact that they do constitute the first wave of the technologically unemployable. I mean, those people who have all had jobs, but in the performance of their duties, a little voice has come to them and said, this job can be better done by a machine. When this happens to you, you're in the process of dropping out, whether you know it or not, because the soul is withering. That is what is critical about the hippies. And what they find to do with this leisure that they have taken upon themselves is going to be stipulative. It's going to be critical for the kinds of paths that are followed by those who come after. And there's going to be a huge number, dear friends.
Well, where else, can you do anything you want to do without being shot at and chased around? Well, I've been to some really strange towns. Like walking to a small town with hair. It was like it's not cool. It's just unhip, you know. They chase you and throw things and call you names and, you know, the whole scene. This place, you know, you can relax without being asked why all the time.
I got such a kick out of this because I was telling Lee coming out here, I said some of my students said they were going to come out here and live after graduation, and I said it wouldn't surprise me at all to see some, and then to see Rick here was quite something. But this doesn't shock you at all, huh, after our traditional training in school?
No, it doesn't. I think it's a lot better than the traditional training in school, I really do.
Oh, you do? Why? This is interesting, I'd like to know.
Well, I don't know, it just seems like this is the way it should be, because people get so tied up in playing their games when they get through with school and everything. Now, they've got to be a certain way, because it does get in the way a lot. You can't really start to love people until you get rid of these fronts.
In other words, the phoniness then?
Yeah.
In other words, you think we at school were all phony?
No, no. It's just that, well, in a sense, it was.
In other words, it's the honesty. Right. I see what you mean. And you think these people are really honest, and in our other society, it's kind of phony then, huh?
In some ways, yeah.
I see. But do you think you're going to be able to live in society all right after this?
I don't know. I could probably make it, but the thing is, I've lost a lot of these fronts I've had. Because that's one thing, I don't want to have any more friends.
Yeah, but do you think the rest of society can play the game then, the way you're going to play it?
Well, it's up to them if they want to or not, because it really doesn't bother me.
There's nothing to be, quotes, uptight about with respect to the hippies, but I think that snowballing cybernation in industry the world over is a genuine cause for concern. The hippies are just the first products of this snowballing cybernation.
People go off and they smoke pot and they drop acid and they say, what's this hard work virtue? The work virtue is dead as an American virtue, really. I mean, who's going to have to work 40 hours a week in 10 years besides doctors? People are going to have new ways to relax and enjoy themselves and enjoy each other.
1, 2, 3, do it! No! Life on fire! There's only one way to do it. You gotta burn the world up. You gotta scorch it with love.
These drugs greatly induced a sort of a contemplative approach to life. The thought that some kid could drop acid and see God and find peace and calm and be a happy person, and this thought is does away with every institutional approach to right living that there is.
That's what makes LSD so lethal, is that anyone with 350 micrograms of acid inside of their blood, changing their chemicals, can sit there and feel the universe roll in and out of them, grandeur, the majesty of being, which is celestial. Kenneth Patchen has a poem, "Behold my love, the stars that walk on ancient sticks of light." That's celestial majesty. That's the grandeur of being alive. That you can be all the way up. You could be the sun.
This is the first time I have been amongst the hippies. But nobody intoxicated. They all using the good sense. They ain't got no king or president or police. There's no police here. They like the new ideas, and that's why I'm here. This is the first time I've been here, and I just love it.
Words to say about the whole hip scene, that it's good because finally people are grouping together to say, we don't go along with the things you're saying. We are challenging everything that seems to be unrealistic, everything that seems to be false, from sex to just getting up in the morning. You're fooling yourselves and you're trying to fool us, but we won't be fooled.
Thank you.